Hi, Jim. Thanks for everything that you do and your commitment to financial education among physicians. I'm an internal medicine subspecialist, and I will start my first attending job in July 2021. I will have access to multiple retirement accounts, including a 403B, a 457, and a 401A. I was hoping you could speak more about the 401A account. Do you have any reservations about using this? Are there any specific questions I should ask the HR department at my new hospital? I'm unfamiliar with this account, and any advice you have would be much appreciated. Thanks again for all that you do.
All right, let's talk about 401As. I've done a post on 401As on the blog, but I don't know that I've ever really mentioned them on the podcast. Technically, a 401k is a type of a 401A. A 401A is the bigger category. But when we're talking about 401As, what we're generally talking about are a plan that's offered to government employees. Typically, it's a government employee. And it's, basically was put in place instead of a pension. It's typically made up entirely of employer contributions. Now, I know money's fungible, right? So the employer pays you a little bit less in salary and you get the 401A benefit. It's all really the same. It's all really your money, part of your compensation. But technically, from a legal standpoint, a 401A is employer money that's going in there. You don't put any of your own money in there. It's also not an ERISA account. And so that allows the employer to have all kinds of interesting rules about it. Usually these are state employer plans, and the state gets to make the rules. So ERISA covers things like vesting rules and fiduciary actions like choice of investments and the disclosures. But 401As are not regulated by ERISA, which is a federal law. They're regulated by state law, which is not usually as strict. So typically it takes you a little bit longer to vest in the benefits. The investments might not be as good. They might not tell you what the fees are. You really have to dig into stuff. But the questions you ask HR are all those questions, right? What are the fees? What are the investments? When do I vest? What are my distribution options, right? And a lot of times you can roll these over when you leave the employer into a 401k. So you want to ask about those sorts of things, just like you would with like a 457 account. But typically, these contributions are not optional. They're usually employer contributions that they're going to put in there, no matter what you want to have done with the money. And so look into it and ask about that because, like I said, these plans can all be a little bit different. But realize that the way they're usually set up is that this is just your benefit. This is like your pension benefit. It's just going into a defined contribution plan instead of a defined benefit plan. You also need to be real careful about those fees, right? Sometimes there might be an investment advisor involved that picked the funds in the account and is now getting an AUM fee for it. So make sure you understand all of that. But as a general rule, you may be offered a 401A, a 403B, and a 457. And as a general rule, you want to use all of those accounts at your employer, especially a government employer, because that usually means the 457 is a government 457, which has better distribution options than a non-governmental 457. So I hope that's helpful. Every one of them is a little bit unique, so find out exactly how much goes in, where the money comes from, what the investments are, what the distribution options are, what the fees are, and that should be enough information for you to be able to make a decision as far as how you're going to use it in your overall investing plan. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.